Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about the pelvic floor and its importance in health. Pelvic floor muscles are the muscles that are at the bottom of our pelvis. This is the human pelvis. The muscles go from front to back and side to side. The importance of pelvic floor is huge in maintaining our good health. They support 5 main functions. Number 1, they act as circulatory channels for our lymphatic drainage. Number 2, they support our organs. So our bladder, our uterus, and the rectum at the back are supported by the pelvic floor muscles, especially when we are running around, going up and down the stairs, going uphill. They support these organs against gravity. Number 3, they participate in childbirth and sexual function. Number 4, they are the ones that are part of our core stabilizer. So they support our spine health by stabilizing our abdominal muscles along with our breathing muscle and our back muscles. And number 5, they are the ones that act as stop and go sign for our bladder and bowel function. So here it's the importance of pelvic floor in our health. Okay, so one question I often get asked is who should see a pelvic floor therapist and what would be the main reasons that I see them for. There are some obvious signs of pelvic floor dysfunction that everybody should be aware of, and if that happens to you, you definitely want to see a pelvic floor specialist. Number 1, if you are experiencing any leakage of bladder or bowel function, that's one of the direct cues that you need to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. If you're experiencing pain in the pelvic area, whether it's from your day-to-day activities, whether it's after childbirth, or whether it's during sex, you need to be seeing a pelvic floor physiotherapist to take a look at what the muscles are doing. If you are experiencing heaviness, pressure, you are feeling as if something is pulling you down in the pelvic floor area, then definitely that's a sign of pelvic organ prolapse, and we want to see what's going on with the pelvic floor muscles if they're supporting you properly. And also, if you are experiencing chronic back pain, persistent groin pain, which may be treated with conventional treatments, but the pain is not going away, pelvic floor might be the missing link. So you want to address your pelvic floor if any of these obvious signs are presenting. But on the other hand, pelvic floor health consults should be as a part of your daily or yearly checkup. You can screen a lot of pelvic floor dysfunctions by going to a pelvic physio, taking a consult. Even if you're not experiencing symptoms, you don't have to be there to get the consult. You can do it proactively so that you're not going to develop any symptoms in future. People often who have never seen a pelvic physio will ask me what to expect at their first appointment. This is a very important question. You should know what you're going in for. A pelvic floor initial consult would be a thorough examination of your physical, functional, and emotional aspects of health. We are going to talk about how your range of motion is, if you have any specific symptoms, how your general medical history is, what your fitness history is, and what are the main symptoms you're coming in for. Also, the assessment will include an internal exam. This is the part that helps us assess what the pelvic floor muscles are doing. Usually the internal exam is through a vaginal entrance, and we check the muscle tone, muscle strength, and muscle coordination. Now, the only accurate way of checking a pelvic floor muscle function is either via vaginal ultrasound or by a digital palpation. Because we don't have the transvaginal ultrasounds in all the clinics, we use digital palpations to confirm our findings. Although that is a very critical part of your examination, it's done completely under your consent, and a pelvic floor physiotherapist will explain to you completely about what that examination entails. After screening through all the contraindications, if you still are not comfortable, then we don't have to go through the internal exam right away. You have full authority to tell them to not have an internal exam at all. It's just a critical component of pelvic floor assessment to tell exactly what the muscles are doing, because they are on the inside of your body, so it's hard to tell what they're doing from the outside. After the assessment, the physiotherapist will explain to you what the findings are. She will explain to you what the treatment techniques would be and what the plan of treatment would be, and how to expect progress in the next few sessions that you would visit your pelvic floor physiotherapist. So be sure to ask all the questions that you have when you go for your initial consult, so that you're familiar with what's going on with the physiotherapy treatment. Okay, so what does pelvic floor physiotherapy treatment include after you've had your initial consult? The one thing is pelvic floor muscles are somebody who are used to being self-sufficient, and so you want to do your exercises consistently at home. Your physiotherapist might assist you in reducing tension in the muscles or doing some specific manual techniques, showing some exercises that you can do at the clinic. But the most of your treatment will depend on what you are doing in your day-to-day basis at home by self-guided exercises. The most common exercise that everybody is aware of is Kegels. These are exercises to strengthen the pelvic floor. Although they are great and required for everybody to strengthen their pelvic floor, if you're somebody who's experiencing chronic pain, if you're somebody who's experiencing urge-related incontinence of bladder or bowel, if you're somebody who's very tensed in your pelvic floor, Kegels in fact are not the starting point. We usually go to treat the person with something called as reverse Kegels, which is opposite of Kegels, more relaxation of pelvic floor, learning how to connect to your pelvic floor and learning how to connect to them and relax them. Because if you are already tense, you don't want to do more Kegels and engage them more and cause more pain. So yes, as much as Kegels are the one word everybody's aware of, it's not a treatment for everybody. It includes a proper assessment to decide if Kegels are the starting point for you. Other than the pelvic floor muscle exercises, we also rely on a lot of yoga poses. We also rely on a lot of core strengthening so that every muscle in your body that is a stabilizer group will support your pelvic floor in doing what they do best. I hope this helps you understand what the treatment will look like for pelvic floor physiotherapy. So today I want to talk about how pelvic floor physiotherapy can impact your health during pregnancy and postpartum. Pelvic floor muscles are pretty self-sufficient and they do what they need to do throughout our life, except they go through major transformation during pregnancy and postpartum period. And that's why it's important to give them a little extra attention so that they are coping with the changes that are happening during pregnancy, whether they are hormonal, whether they are physical, because your center of gravity is being shifted due to the baby growing in the womb. Pelvic floor muscles have to carry a lot more burden on them, and sometimes this is the time when women will experience some bladder dysfunction or some kind of pain or discomfort in their lower back. Hence, pelvic floor physiotherapy is definitely critical and important, and in my opinion mandatory for anybody who is pregnant. Pelvic floor physiotherapists can see a pregnant woman as early as 17 weeks into pregnancy. We screen through major risk factors to make sure it's safe for you, and we are on the same page as your obstetricians or midwives so that we make sure that it's completely safe throughout your pregnancy. And then once you've had your baby, you want to make sure you're going back to the pelvic floor physiotherapist to get the tone back in your pelvic floor muscles, get the strength back into the pelvic floor muscles. And this is regardless of the mode of childbirth, whether you've had a vaginal birth or C-section, you've still carried the baby for that many weeks. So it's important to take care of your pelvic health after your baby is here so that you can resume your daily activities of living and you can do what you love to do with your baby and your family without having any symptoms.